You are watching Access LaPorte County Channel 97. Coming up next is the July 7th meeting for the Michigan City Common Council. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Michigan City Common Council meeting. Today is July 7th, 2026, and we will begin. I would ask if you would all please silence all of your electronic devices and join us in saying the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silent prayer.
Allegiance is to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we begin, I just want to acknowledge that we do have Councilman Nelson on Zoom. And Councilman Nelson, can you hear us clearly? If so, I would ask that you keep your camera on for roll call and for all votes. Madam Clerk, if you would on roll call.
Mr. Beatrice, Mr. Coulter,
Present.
Mr. Dabney,
Present.
Dr. Cora,
Present.
Ms. Lee, present, Ms. Moldenauer,
Present.
Mr. Nelson,
Present.
Mr. Prezebelinski, and Ms. Tillman.
Present. And Councilman Beatrice and Councilman Prezebelinski absence are excused for tonight's meeting. Approval of the minutes, our regular council hybrid and Zoom, June 16th, 2026. Did all council members have an opportunity to review? And are there any corrections? If none, may I entertain a motion to approve?
So moved. Support.
Madam Clerk, on the roll call, please.
Mr. Coulter,
Aye.
Mr. Dabney,
Aye.
Dr. Cora,
Aye.
Ms. Lee. Aye. Ms. Moldenauer,
Aye.
Mr. Nelson,
Aye.
and Ms. Tillman.
Aye.
We have 7 in favor and no one opposed.
Thank you. Reports of standing committees. The Finance Committee meeting, Councilman Dabney.
Yes. The July 7, 2026 Finance Committee meeting minutes. Finance Committee meeting was called to order by Chairman Dabney at 6:04 p.m. to review and approve claims since the last meeting. Committee members, Councilman Dr. Cora, Councilman Bryant Dabney, City Controller Tamiko Smith, Assistant Controller Ann Schaefer were all present. Councilman Beatrice was absent. Also in attendance, Councilman Greg Coulter was present. Claims reviewed were $0 from the Riverboat Fund, $0 from the Boyd Development Fund, and $48,687.68 from the Rainy Day Fund, for a total claim docket of $48,687.68. There were no other further questions about the docket and the claims. City Controller Smith also came in and reviewed Committee General Fund FY 2026 year-end cash balance projections and wheel tax amounts when she currently stated that $272,000 with an estimated year-end projection of $545,500. There were no other questions that were answered. There were other questions that will be answered at the next meeting, as Dr. Cora presented some questions, and City Controller Tamiko Smith said that she would bring those answers to the next Finance Committee meeting. Councilman Cora moved to recommend approval of the docket, and with a second from Councilman Dabney, the motion was approved unanimously. There were no public comments. Chairman Dabney opened the meeting to ask if any of the council members in attendance had questions concerning any of the ordinance on tonight's council meeting, and there were no questions from the council, but they were reviewed by City Controller Smith for a public hearing, and there was no questions from the Finance Committee on that as well. And then finally, on a motion by Councilman Dr. Cora and a second by Councilman Dabney, the meeting was adjourned at 6:21 p.m. But what I want to do now is go over the details of the meeting, details of the claims. Like I said, from our Riverboat Fund, there were $0. From Boyd Development Fund, $0. And from the Rainy Day Fund, we had 6 payments to the Indiana Public Retirement of Indiana. Those totaled $48,687.68, and those are to make up retirement payments for non-retired city employees who had been identified as retired. So the total claim docket once again was $48,687.68. Also, we talked about discussed the July 7th, 2026 Riverboat and Rainy Day Fund statement of cash position. In the Riverboat Fund, we have $5,775,556.14. In the Rainy Day Fund, we have $1,105,076.35 for a total between the two funds there, $6,880,632.49. And that concludes my Finance Committee report.
May I entertain a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Support.
Madam Clerk, on the vote, please.
Mr. Dabney,
Aye.
Dr. Cora,
Aye.
Ms. Lee. Aye. Ms. Moldenauer,
Aye.
Mr. Nelson,
Aye.
Ms. Tillman,
Aye.
and Mr. Coulter.
Aye.
We have 7 in favor and no one opposed.
The July 7, 2026 claims total $48,687.68 has been approved and passed. Next, we have reports from boards and commissions.
Good evening, Darrell Fortin, Human Rights Chair. Before you, I dropped off a copy of a resolution I'd like to have you guys go over and read. If you could, it's about Michigan City Human Rights Commission will not stand for any form of hate speech from any elected official. This started out on Thursday, May 21st from Indiana Lieutenant Governor. And the Michigan City Human Rights Commission would like for it to be either a resolution or an ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, this is Tommy Kolovic from 1316 Ohio Street, and I'm a member of the Board 1 of the LaPorte County Alcohol and Beverage Commission. I have a really exciting announcement to make. It's very rewarding when we approve a new permit for a nice place for people to go and everything. There's going to be a new lounge going into the new Hilton. It's called the Home to Suites Hotel. It's right next to the other hotel there but it's gonna be real nice. I got to meet the manager. He's a minority man, so that's what we really encourage is minority business ownership and management and entrepreneurship. So I think that's something we're really going to enjoy going. Everybody check it out and come in and support them. So thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other boards and commissions? Councilwoman Moldenauer?
Thank you, Madam President. This is from the Sustainability Commission first. At the last meeting, they voted to join the Northwest Indiana Partners for Clean Air. And tomorrow, we actually have our first Air Quality Action Day since we voted to become a member of this alliance. And what this means for you tomorrow is that you should not idle your vehicles, fill them up with fuel after sunset, stay indoors if possible, and don't engage in strenuous exercise. And finally, refrain from using your gas lawn equipment. And the reason for this is that there are unhealthy levels of ozone tomorrow, and we're going to try to keep that at lower than would be otherwise. So thank you for joining us in that effort. Also, Northwest Indiana Green Drinks has been scheduled and announced for the first Tuesday of August the 6th at 6:30 p.m. I'm very excited we were able to secure a most excellent presenter on the future of green steel in Indiana. I heard this gentleman present already at the NERC regional meeting. He has his facts straight. He has a vision of what could be happening in Northwest Indiana. So I really encourage everybody to tune in on this Zoom meeting. You can find it on Facebook Live on Save the Dunes page, or you can get the link on Save the Dunes website, or you can get it from that's EM, short for Emily, m@savedunes.org. And then the last announcement I have is actually an invitation. The Michigan City Airport Authority Board will be hosting their second open house at the airport. This will be happening Sunday, July 12th from 12 noon to 4 p.m. There will be fly-ins. There will be free airplane rides from pilots that actually house their airplanes there. And there will be tandem skydiving also at a discounted special rate. You may want to make pre-reservations for that to be sure you get a spot if you're interested. And there'll be other engagement activities and also educational offerings. A special $5 hot dogs, chips, and drink is available. So this really makes this a whole family event. So I really want to invite everybody to come out and check out our airport, have a fun day, and mingle with the pilots like I get to do every month. Thank you.
Do we have any other reports from boards and commissions? If there are none, reports of special or select committees? Do we have any reports of special or select committees? Any reports of special or select committees? If there are none, reports from mayor or other city officers and departments?
Good evening.
Good evening, Chief Taylor.
How are you all this evening? Did you have a good weekend? All right. Really all I have is our stats for June. We had a total of 456 calls, and it breaks down 21 fire. 4 of those were structure fires, 22 hazardous situations, which would be lines down, gas leaks, things of that nature. 290 medical calls, 227 of those were like illness, 58 were injuries, and 5 fell in the other category. Narcan was used 6 times on those calls. 41 public service, so citizens assist, like lift assist, stuff like that. Alarms with non-medical, which would be like CO and smoke detectors. 5 rescue, and 77 were non-emergency, so false alarms, good intent, canceled en route. Again, that was 456 calls for June of this year compared to 448 last year. So at the end of June of this year, we've had 2,434 total calls compared to 2,490 last year. So we're over for the month, but we're under for the year. We're like 56 under for the total for same time last year. That's really all I have. Anybody any questions or anything?
Does the council have any questions? Councilwoman Lee?
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to give a shout out to your dive team for helping assist the drowning a couple weeks ago. I know it was rough waters, but they went in anyway and they braved it out. I know they had to get out because the waters were so rough. But shout out to them for their bravery in helping with that situation.
Yes, thank you. Appreciate that.
Any other questions or comments for Chief Taylor?
I have a question.
Nelson?
Chief Bear, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Not too bad, thank you. Not necessarily per month, but I guess this past month, how many of those, the calls that we received, how many wind up being medical?
Let me go back to that. I think it was 290 were medical. Maybe I didn't give the total medical, but 290 were medical.
Out of how many calls?
Out of 456. So what is that? 166 of them were not medical. So yeah.
Okay. Out of curiosity.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, sir.
No, I was just going to repeat the number again, but go ahead.
You said 290, correct?
290 medical calls out of 456 total.
Okay. That's all. That's all I had.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Nelson. Are there any other questions or comments from the council? If there are none, thank you so much for
Right,
your
thank you.
report, Chief Taylor.
Good evening, Council. Steve Forker, Chief of Police.
Good evening.
Hope you all received my email this afternoon, right, regarding all of our stats and statistics for the last 2 months regarding that. The last couple of weeks have been obviously really busy for Michigan City Police Department and or special events. We had the parade a couple of weeks ago and then followed up by the 4th of July this last weekend. Obviously, right, great day for the parade and the Braden Fisk event. Upwards of 40 officers working that day for both events. Obviously, it was a great day, no issues. So, great on our end. Same thing with the 4th of July. Obviously, the rain washed out some of the crowd, but I think a lot of it returned right later on, a lot of drive-throughs, and again, saw a significant crowd for those fireworks. Again, I just want to take the opportunity, obviously, to thank all the officers, right, that volunteered or were voluntold to work those events. Again, we appreciate them taking that time away from their families, especially during the holidays, right, to help keep the community safe. So again, just want to say thank you to them. Obviously want to thank Councilman Dabney and Councilwoman Moldenauer and the rest of the council essentially for doing the flock workshop back on June 29th. I hope the rest of you saw the follow-up email from Assistant Chief Shaparsky, which hopefully answered a lot of the questions from that event and or some additional questions. So again, hopefully you'll take the time to review that link with ALCO. Again, some things that we have currently going on through the Michigan City Police Department. Today, we started Cold Treat Tuesdays. So on Tuesdays throughout the month of July, we'll be out at some parks throughout the city. Today, we are out at Tall Timbers Park serving cold treats. Next Tuesday on the 14th, we'll be out at Pullman Field from 1 to 3 p.m. Again, then on the 21st, we will be out at Water Tower Park. Again, same time, 1 to 3 p.m. on Tuesday. And then the last one will be on July 28th. Again, 1 to 3. We'll be out at Gardenia Park. Again, just another opportunity for us to connect and serve up some cold treats. Kind of following along line with that, right? We had pizza with the police. So again, we have a couple Wednesdays selected here in July. So July 15th, we'll be out at Garden Estates. Beginning at 1 p.m. and until we run out of pizza, could be quick. And then the following week on Wednesday, July 22nd, we'll be out at Woodland East Apartments. So again, serving some pizza with the police. Again, good, bad, and different. August 4th, right? Usually a council meeting that night, but first Tuesday in August is our National Night Out Against Crime. So we will be hosting that again at 7th and Franklin. Again, our National Night Out starting at 5 p.m. till 8. Several activities, several community partners lined up to be there. And, we'll have some programs and some activities for the community there. Again, serving hamburgers and hot dogs, again, is the plan this year. So, again, we hope everyone can come out again on August 4th. Hopefully it's a short council meeting that night and you guys can come join us. And, again, so we're looking forward to that. So that's all I have right now. I think the mayor has some time.
Any comments or questions from the council? I just have one, and that is you mentioned Law Enforcement National Night Out, which is August 4th, which is a city council meeting evening. And in prior year, I've requested for that by a unanimous vote to have that moved to the following day. And I'm going to say we only have one meeting before that this month. So would you provide a directive on how we can do that? Or would I need to do a motion to suspend, Attorney Harris?
That's correct. You would need a motion to suspend the rules, and you can take that up. You can take it up at the next meeting if you'd like. I think today is an overview of what your intentions are. But yes, you could do that at the next meeting, but you would need to suspend the rules in order to do that.
Okay.
And I think your practice of unanimous vote is correct.
Okay. Thank you. Madam Clerk, if you could just add that to the council agenda, please.
Sure.
Thank you.
Chief Fork.
I got a quick question.
Councilman Nelson.
Chief, I'm sorry, Madam President. I'm sorry. You said this would be at Pullman Field, August the 4th?
No, August 4th for National Night Out, we'll be out at 7th and Franklin in the grassy plaza there.
Did I mishear something about something that y'all were holding at Pullman Field?
On July 14th, Right, Tuesday, July 14th from 1 to 3 p.m. We'll be doing cold treat Tuesdays. We'll have some kind of cold treat out there, popsicles, ice cream, something of that sorts. So that'll be July 14th at Pullman, 1 to 3.
How can y'all go about promoting that within the neighborhood?
Usually just our social medias. I guess, if you have any suggestions on promoting that into the neighborhood, we're more than welcome to hear those. So
Okay.
maybe you and I can touch base and figure out a way to do that.
I would love to.
Yep, sounds good. I'll shoot you an email.
Okay.
And comment.
Councilman Dabney?
Yes, and for future reference, when you come down and talk to us, and you said something about possibly having a short meeting that night, please don't come down into the chamber and jinx us.
Yeah.
And because I say that every Tuesday that we're having a council, oh, it looks like this should be short tonight, and I jinxed it. So please, that's just a request.
All right, we have the same stuff around the station, right? Reference those quiet nights. So
I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
thank you.
Evening, council president, council members.
Good evening, Mayor.
Just a couple of updates. We did the State of the City on June 30th, and this is just a small condensed version. We're not doing the whole thing. I'm just going to highlight a couple of items. The link is up on the website. Access LaPorte County has it also listed on their YouTube channel as well. So there's plenty of places where you can find it. And again, this is just a shortened version that I'll cover. So again, thank you for the time tonight. Several of you were there. Appreciate you being there on that night. And again, it's really about our employees, and also thanking you for the partnership. And, when we pass a budget and come back for additional appropriations, it falls back on you as well. So again, thank you for doing what you do and stepping out there and being a part of the community. So our next slide, because I'm just going to get to it. For the last couple of years, at least since I've been here, we've been really focused on how can we support the community organizations that support the city. Right. And the way we do that is we support them in multiple ways. One is the Mayor's Charitable Gala, where we've raised over $350,000. We've supported organizations, projects, beautification, you name it. The other part of that was last year, you all did an additional appropriation for the opioid funds, and that was over $150,000. And that's still an active grant. People are still working through those programs. I know there's midnight basketball and some different things that are happening where you have resources at different places. But then CDBG, I don't think people realize CDBG gives money to these same organizations around housing and different support. So when you look at that, we're talking over $1 million just in the 2.5 years that I've been here. And that's not taxpayer dollars that we're talking about. That's additional funds that go into these organizations, and it's not effort that comes from anybody paying a tax. It's really from the community supporting one another. So I wanted to make sure we highlight that. But you heard the police chief, he talked about all these events. Well, our park department, between our park department, the police department, the fire department, we have a lot of events that are happening. The park department alone does over 274 events each year, whether it's chess, quilting, exercising on the lakefront, whatever that is. There's something for people to do. And we have a beautiful park system, whether people realize that or not. We are unlike any city our size when it comes to the number of parks and our natural resources that we have here in Michigan City. And I think it's important to highlight that because you don't find communities our size with a zoo, a lakefront, and then the numerous parks in all of our different neighborhoods. And I would say this, I would put Pat Volz up against anyone. The number of parks that they have to take care of is phenomenal, number one. And it's a seasonal, position because we have a lot of people who are here, but we have a lot of kids that we know that they need to be outside, outdoors, and doing things. So again, my hats off to them. Next one, special events, the parade. This was the biggest parade that Terry's done so far. And people were out and about. Between that and the Braden Fisk event, again, hats off to all the volunteers who came out he is continuing to show his worth. Each year, year over year, he's raising more money in sponsorships to cover the cost of the events. So again, he's out there, he's beating down the doors, he's calling everybody, asking them for money. And again, last year we had a 2-day holiday event. We have one of the largest sand sculpting festivals in America now, especially on the Great Lakes. That's coming up in a couple of weeks. So if you want to volunteer, council members, feel free to reach out to Terry. He's always looking for volunteers. But again, our events are becoming more and more frequent. And, our Oktoberfest, for instance, it's free. And these are free events that our families can, participate in, share. Braden comes back each year. We just had our second annual Braden Fisk event. Again, then he held a benefit, to benefit the Boys and Girls Club. So it's wonderful that people can see him somebody spotted him at Family Express getting gas and just hanging out, and I think that's a testament to the kids and the young people that we build here in the community. People may say a whole lot about our young people, but when they give wholeheartedly. And I think we need to continue to impress that upon them, that they are somebody and they can be whoever they want to be. Next slide. Oh, thank you. You already hit there. The building department. So I'm gonna, that's a eye chart, but you all should have access to that. But our building department is growing. 75% of the people in the building department have less than 18 months in that department. But as you can tell from the numbers, did a whole lot compared to previous years. If you subtract the data center, we still did almost $1 million in permits. We on average budget about $500,000 for revenues from permits. And we did almost, $7.7 million in permits last year. That's significant. And that's because we're busy. The city is busy. The city's growing. We know that we used to be 4 to 6 weeks out on permits. The average time has changed. And I'm just going to say a couple of things. We registered 971 contractors this year and issued 2,300 last year, 2,393 permits, and collected 877,000 in standard permit fees last year. And remember, we rolled out a brand new system March 1st of last year. Everything was done on paper. So this is significant in itself that we're building something to last, number one, but it needs to be repeatable. And we're still improving that system. I know there's another module that needs to be added, but we're continuing to update it based on feedback that we're receiving on the permit system. Next slide. Cemetery. Our cemetery, Jeff has done a phenomenal job, the superintendent at the cemetery. It's fully automated now, which you had to go into the office, go through the files, figure out where the plot was, get the name. Everything is now fully automated that you can go look up your loved ones, use GIS coordinates to get a map to where you need to go to find your loved one in the cemetery. So that was because of ARPA dollars. ARPA dollars that the last council approved. And again, it was significant. This is a big deal in modernizing how people, go to see their loved ones at the cemetery. You think it's a small thing, but it's a big deal. It's a big deal. Having that automated, and it took some time. It took a little bit longer than expected, but it got done. Also, our zero fare with our transit department during the shutdown last fall, the decision was made to move to zero fare transit. And one thing that Robin has shared with us, the director, is that now they see that the ridership is up, but it's more of a lot of their repeat customers are going out to do more now. So it's not just them trying to go once a week. They may go get groceries twice a week. They're spending more time going out and doing different things now that is zero fare. So they are seeing an increase in that as well. Moving on to investments, I removed a lot of the slides because I know that Clarence Holst was here last month, and I know that the police did a readout as well. So you can see the full presentation online. But North Shore is moving back downtown into the old HealthLink building right there in the 700 block of Franklin Street. We're excited because there is really nothing north of the tracks as far as healthcare. And so this is an opportunity again for Michigan City to have another viable medical facility in the downtown area, but also north of the tracks. So they will have dental, pharmacy, et cetera in that facility. And the city has a contract with them now for our employees. We use North Shore. Most of us go to Chesterton or LaPorte right now, but there will be one right here downtown in Michigan City. Business parks. We talk about growth. We have 2 business parks that are underway, and one of the business parks is underway because of it was an annex property, and remember, we had originally, the last council, $8 million set aside for the water and sewer, and we got that down to 4-point-something million. And so now we're going to reap the benefits of that investment, which it was rainy day fund, riverboat fund, and ARPA dollars for that project, for that expansion. So again, 2 business parks. We have Tailwinds and we have Ameriplex again. So 2 different projects, multiple buildings. We are finding that people, when I say people, businesses are looking for space, whether it's office space, whether it's small, high-tech companies. They're looking for locations to be between, our region. We're between, New Carlisle and Chicago, right? That's where we're at. People are looking to be suppliers and providers of different things, and they're looking for locations. So again, more to come on that. And again, the Tailwinds Business Park right there off of Cleveland. When Cleveland Ave went in years ago, I was like, are we going to ever do anything on Cleveland Avenue? And finally, we're starting to see that growth is going to occur on Cleveland Avenue with 30 acres there in the Tailwinds. That's going to be 11 buildings. And then last but not least, I want to make this on the short list, Marquette Mall. Town and Blank purchased Marquette Mall, and now they're starting to master plan that site. One of the things that is important as we transition to the housing slide is that, they're looking to make that a medical complex. And I know Dr. Cora probably knows a little bit more about it than most, but Franciscan is looking to, I forgot the super hub name, but consolidate, local doctors into a facility, but we're also looking at
it's called Super MOB, medical office.
Super MOB. I knew it was
Basically, it has
super.
medical offices, imaging, lab, and physical therapy, everything under one roof.
Thank you. Super MOB. So, but they're also looking at other partners for that site. So there's an opportunity for some other organizations to be there. But the next slide is we talk about housing, because I want to make sure I get to it. We have over 2,000 units in the pipeline in housing around the city. And the first, if you move to the next slide, is Marquette Flats. So Holiday Properties is working with the owner. The new owner of the Marquette Theater is looking to put apartments there. And again, what a wonderful opportunity. They have already started planning. So that will be going through its process, its normal process. But again, the Marquette Flats is just one of those opportunities. Next slide. The Franklin should be opening by September. So again, another opportunity, Transit Development District, TOD, working in partnership with a few folks right now. We have a grant due on Thursday around TOD planning with the FTA. And we're going to be applying for $1.5 million to really focus on how do we develop, not 11th Street, but Franklin Street going south up the tracks. Because, of course, the TIF is always taking care of downtown. But when you go to Midtown going towards the other set of tracks, there's a wonderful opportunity to do something different, but we need to plan for it. And you all see what's happening there. A couple other places, Tryon Metals over off of Tryon Road. I know you've seen that dirt moving, Woodland Ridge, the Moore. They've just finished their first phase, looking at the second phase as well, and then over by Beach Walk. So again, 2,000 units under construction or permitted over the next couple of years. And then lastly, not last but not least, but invest in people. We have our next Indiana Plan class starting next week. I think it's next week here at City Hall. We've graduated a class. We've done an entrepreneurship group. We've had 2 Michigan City Neighborhood Leadership Academy graduations. We have a new class in the fall. So we still are trying to invest in people. Right now, we have a workforce program. We have with reentry and young adults that are, looking to get put back into the workforce, and we're partnering with Goodwill to do that. So again, continuing to do those things. And just from an outside perspective and being outside in the parks, we talk about environmental, being environmentally friendly. And thank you, Nancy, and the Sustainability Commission. And we had several people. We had the American Bloom advisors here a couple of weeks ago, meeting with different groups, different organizations. They did tours of the city with our Parks Department. I met with Vector Code Enforcement, and we had some other community partners that came out so that we can get a report and a score in August on where we're at. They talked about flowers and art and all kind of things, but really talked about how we can enhance our gateways in our city, and also engage our neighborhoods in doing those contests like we used to do with the businesses and neighborhoods. We have door hangers that we're going to be hanging. You see someone doing a great job, put a door hanger on their home, but really trying to get the community and embrace the community pride that Michigan City has always had. We just need to continue to grow that. Also, Move with the Mayor. We had our opioid awareness walk last year, and we're going to do that again. I know we're working with Robin Serber to get that going again as well. You can go to the next one. And then our farmers market. I don't know if you've been to the farmers market, but it has grown. And it is packed. They have done a wonderful job with utilizing SNAP benefits. It's 3 for 1. So if you give them $20, you get $60 or you get $40 more. So they match it twice. So you give them $20, you turn it in, you get your voucher, you get $60 that you can spend at the farmers market. And so it's triple bucks. And I think that's a wonderful program. People are using it. If you look at the numbers, and I'm going to look up the numbers so I don't mess it up. But even with Farm and Forage, we did a total, and we're part of that with LaPorte and Michigan City. It was $28,000 in SNAP benefits last year. That's a lot. That's a lot in 2025. So again, the market continues to grow, but they also donate back to local organizations. Each month they pick a different organization, like the Boys and Girls Club, Nest. I know that they've used Salvation Army, but they give back to those organizations each month. They get a check from, the benefits from the market. So that's another great thing. And just in general, people talk about grants, but our CCMG is big. Again, we received one each year now, and I think it's important because the first 2 years they increased the amount that we could get. So we did $3 million in streets 1 year, $3 million again, and this year our match is $770,000, so about $1.5 million is what we're going to be doing, and that was secured. And then we received a $500,000 EPA brownfield grant along with our Safe Streets. The Safe Streets program is just getting started. I know that they're going to be announcing some community events for input from different neighborhoods and community residents. So that's going to be happening here over the next couple of months. The first part of the grant. The second part of the grant that we received was $200,000. So that's when we really start going into creating the whole comprehensive plan. The first grant was $80,000. So that's what we're in right now, that small piece of the planning phase of that. But we've also received, and we just did this on the Board of Works this week, Thrive. So we are part of two grants that the Unity Foundation, in partnership with the city, applied, and 30 grants were awarded across the state. And Michigan City happened to be a part of 2 of the 30 that were awarded. And Thrive is really focused on enhancing our zoning, our planning department around housing. There's money, we're focusing and pivoting towards infill housing. We've identified some lots that we're gonna kind of use as our guinea pigs for creating some affordable housing projects, but that money from that grant did not require a match from us. And so that's going to be important as we move forward with looking at affordability for that. The second part of that grant, which we talked about this week, was really the cultural trail, and that's Pine Street. And it's the connectivity from the train station to our national park, making us a gateway to the national park, but getting us to our Singing Sands Trail, making sure to our lakefront, getting us to the downtown area and over to Michigan Boulevard, because we know that Pine Street, that project is moving forward as well. So connectivity from the train station, having bikes out there, having a kiosk at South Shore so that people know where to go and where to hang out and what restaurants we have to offer. Talk about the Barker Mansion. I don't know if you've been over there, but they've done a phenomenal job in rehabbing that place and spending a lot of money. So we just have a lot happening in Michigan City all at once right now. So again, shortened and condensed version nonetheless. But feel free to go out to Access LaPorte County, go to our website, and you can get a copy of it. I do want to invite Senator Rodney Pohl and State Representative Randy Novak up here. We are celebrating our 190 years. I don't know if you've seen the benches around town, but they're beautiful, and we're going to get more benches done. But we're also getting putting back our banner program. Mr. Matt Kubik is helping to work on that. But that money for the banner program and all, those are coming from the gala funds. That's not coming from taxpayer dollars. So again, that's why those events are important, so that we can do those extra things. But celebrating 190 years for Michigan City and celebrating 250 years as a nation, I know that he wanted to do this presentation a couple of different times, so I'm going to have them come up and get out of their way to do their presentation.
Thank you, Mayor. Council members. It's an honor to be here before you, and kind of brings back a few memories too. So with this, for sake of time, this House Resolution number 46, it was introduced by myself. Just so you know, this was a joint thing Rodney and I were doing, but the Senate and the House sometimes don't. So we got it done over in the Senate. So just all I'm saying. Adopted by voice vote on February 26, 2026, during a special regular session of the 124th General Assembly, the House resolution honoring the 190th anniversary of the incorporation of Michigan City. Whereas the area now known as Michigan City, Indiana, traces origins to the early 1830s, when pioneers and founder Isaac C. Elston purchased 160 acres along the south shore of Lake Michigan and began planning the community rooted in commerce, transportation, and access to the Great Lakes. Whereas Michigan City was formally incorporated in 1836 with a population of more than 1,500 and has since grown to a vibrant city spanning approximately 15 square miles along the south shores of Lake Michigan. Whereas first mayor of Michigan City, Willie Peck, was elected in April 12th, 1836, establishing the foundation of local governance and civic leadership that continues to guide the community today. Whereas the population has grown from 1,500 residents in 1836 to 32,75, I apologize, in 2020 during the census, reflecting nearly 2 centuries of growth, resilience, and community investment. Michigan City is the home for the Old Lighthouse Museum, a decommissioned lighthouse built in 1858 and one that last remaining walk-in lighthouses in Indiana, which preceded the construction in Michigan City Pierhead, the current lighthouse, in 1804. Both Michigan City Lighthouse and the Michigan City Pierhead Lighthouse have endured the enduring symbols of the city maritime heritage and are recognized on the National Register for Historic Places. In 1837, Michigan City established a volunteer fire department to protect the residents and businesses. It was later recognized into a professional department in 1905 with the debut of motorized fire equipment in 1916, marking the city's continuous commencement of public safety innovations.
Thank you, guys. It's an honor to be here. I think Randy and I are used to facing the other way when you guys graciously allow us to use your council office or your council hall here for the town halls that we end up doing. Continuing on with this resolution, Michigan City has played a vital role in preserving and promoting the natural resources of Northwest Indiana, including contributions protecting and stewarding the Indiana Dunes National Lakeshore, which was designated as the Indiana Dunes National Park in 2019, and the Indiana Dunes State Park, which is the most visited state park in the state of Indiana. Michigan City provides access to miles of Lake Michigan lakeshore, beaches, woodlands, rivers, wetlands, and that support this diverse ecosystem of native wildlife and attractive visitors, and that attracts visitors, from across the nation. Michigan City has long served as a regional hub for transportation and commerce, including its historic and ongoing role as a major stop on the South Shoreline, an electric commuter rail system connecting the residents and visitors from Chicago to South Bend and the greater Northwest Indiana region. Michigan City's economy and identity have been shaped by its industrial heritage, maritime history, tourism, and ongoing investment in economic development, infrastructure, and downtown revitalization. Michigan City hosts nationally recognized events such as X Insurance's Great Lakes Grand Prix, which draws visitors from across the country and showcases the city's waterfront, community pride, and economic vitality. Michigan City's strength has always been rooted in its people, consisting of generations of residents, workers, entrepreneurs, public servants, educators, and community leaders whose dedication and perseverance have built a city defined by opportunity, innovation, and a strong sense of place. And Michigan City marks the 190th anniversary of its incorporation, the community honors its past while continuing to shape its future, focused on growth, inclusion, and prosperity for generations to come. That nice little line there for you at the end.
Therefore, be it resolved by the House of Representatives of the General Assembly of the State of Indiana. The Indiana House of Representatives celebrates 190th anniversary of Michigan City, Indiana Incorporation and recommends the city recognizes the city's historical contributions to the state of Indiana and the Great Lakes region. That the Indiana House of Representatives commends its residents, past and present, whose vision, service, and leadership have strengthened Michigan City and positioned it for continued progress. That the principal clerk shall transmit this resolution to State Representative Randy Novak for distribution. So at this time, there's a lot of way, you can see it's very small print, so.
I'll make some copies.
But we're gonna have copies for everybody, so just want to honor everybody, 190 years, it's a pretty major thing, so, to everybody and to the mayor,
Thank you.
great job.
Right. Thank you. We'll get this framed.
Yeah.
And we'll make sure that you all get copies of it. It's big, so I'm going to have to give it to the planning department to do. So that concludes my presentation. For any questions that you all might have, or
I have a question.
yes, sir.
On your first slide, you spoke on revenue resources, the mayor's gala, opiate crisis, CDBG. Can you speak on how the ARPA funds have affected and some examples on how they've supported the small businesses and non-profits?
Sure. So there were several programs that started. So we started receiving ARPA funds in 2021, 22-ish. So I know that Scott Mellon brought it up. We're going to send you a list, but there are multiple programs that were established, not just through ARPA, but we'll get you that list. There was a small business grant program. Then there was it supported the Indiana plan last year. ARPA did. It supported the internship leadership program for the last 3 years. The destination playground. What else? I mean, I can start running a whole bunch of things down for you. Paid for quite a bit of capital and equipment for multiple departments. But we can get you that list.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Speaking on small business grants, as far as the effect and the weight they've had on the community, do they have to report on that, on the funds that they use with that?
The ARPA program, we'll send you the criteria, but there is, I think that business program started or was pushed out.
2004.
Yeah. And,
yeah.
It wasn't a part of this presentation, but we can get that information to you.
Okay. And one last thing, with the ARPA funds expiring December 31st of this year, what's the game plan for the remaining of the funds?
To make sure we spend every dime.
Okay, so just broad. Nothing.
So understand with ARPA, you have to follow the rules. So they have to be existing projects that were already approved. You can't just go spend it on anything outside of what was already in the plan. So it's not like I can say, oh, I'm going to go buy a police car. If there were projects that were listed that though any money that isn't spent, let's say we had security money left, and there was a program or a project that existed for the dog kennel, for instance, I'm just making that up. We can move that money into a project that already existed. We can't create new projects. It was whatever has been approved, that money can only be used in those project categories. That's it.
So projects like neighborhood associations and endeavors or whatnot for non-for-profits, potentially?
No. So, you know what? We can set up time for you to meet with the controller's office to ask those questions specifically about ARPA. But there are rules that we have to follow federal guidelines for those items. So we just can't willy-nilly move money around to different organizations. They have to fall into a project.
I respect that. I just know they expire at the end of the year, and I was just wondering if we had any endeavors already set up or if we was just going to lose the money.
No, we're not going to lose any money. We're going to spend every dime of that money. The goal is to have everything accounted for by September 1, knowing that it gives us a couple more months to finalize all the payments.
Sound good to me.
Councilwoman Moldenauer.
Thank you, Madam President. Mary Angie, I just want to thank you so much from the bottom of my heart, because I've never seen so much grant money flow into this city before. And I want everybody to be very clear. This is not taxpayer dollars. This is in addition to, on top of what our citizens are paying. And I do believe that in spite of criticism regarding projects that have been chosen and projects that have not been chosen, overall, this has increased the quality of life for all of our residents and has made our community as a whole a better place to live. So I just hope people realize that in you, we have a gem, and that you know how to write grants and you know how to secure the money. So thank you.
Well, I'm going to be asking in the budget cycle for a grant administrator so that you know, because I can't monitor the grants and do all these reports. So I'm just letting y'all know that up front. It's great, but then it's not. So, because it's just understand that they require quarterly reporting. And we have grants. People don't realize, I only named a few. We have grants with the airport. We have grants with the transit. We have grants at the sanitary district. We have grants with the police department. We have grants everywhere. I just highlighted a few. But it's gotten to that point that you will get dinged or your money taken if you do not do proper reporting. And that is something that we need somebody with the eyes on that, giving, hey, this is your deadline. We need this information, continuously doing that. Because that part is where I don't want to lose sight of that. We need to make sure we do that. Not necessarily writing the grant, but at least tracking all of the grants and making sure that all the financials are correct and that we do all the reporting and we stay on top of the departments for their information, because we've had some issues historically where, someone didn't do their report and then, we'll find out about it when it's too late, right? So we want to make sure that we do that.
Right. Thank you so very much. And I want to be sure that we do support you. And I know you work more than just your 8 to 4 or 9 to 3. And I want to assure people that probably just about all these grants were written in your free time. So thank you.
Right. Yep. In free time. Yeah.
Dr. Cora?
Yeah, thank you, Madam President. Mayor Angie, thank you for that excellent presentation. I was there at the State of the City and I felt the momentum. So I did. And I'm particularly pleased with the housing, the new housing that we're bringing into Michigan City, because over the years, one of the biggest complaints has been that we didn't have new housing with modern amenities. And a lot of people who work here, they don't live here because of that. And so hopefully this will help bring those individuals back to living in our community. And I also want to thank Representative Novak and State Senator Pohl for being here and for your resolution. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And know that to get to affordable living and affordable housing, you have to have all types of housing. We had 2 different housing studies. One was Vibrant LaPorte County, and then one that we did just for Michigan City. And we need all types of housing. And what people don't realize is when people downsize or move into new homes, it frees up, the existing homes, but also it creates competitive market for these landlords. And we need competition for landlords for our affordable homes to make sure that they have access. I know on your council agenda tonight is the pilot for the old Pine Tree Court. Wonderful opportunity for those residents to get brand new living spaces. And this group is committed. I know that they're going to be doing a presentation, and I've seen it. But what a wonderful opportunity to, number one, fix a lot of broken things out there, have a community, room and some different things, but also put money into that affordable housing fund that has already been established. So those are important things that as we move forward and get these existing projects completed, so that we can move on to the next phase of housing and really looking at affordability in the lower middle income, the working class homes. So I think it's important that we got to have this, and this to make the city thrive. And just know, as we transition transition away from property taxes into local income tax. We want people working and living here. So again, thank you for those comments.
Is there anyone else from the council for comments or questions for the mayor?
I got one more question.
Councilman
You
Nelson?
spoke, hello?
Yes.
Okay, you spoke on benches that's gonna be put throughout the city?
Yeah, that's from the Michigan City Arts Commission. Yep.
Oh, okay. I know Magic Factory, on the third ward, they were doing benches too. I thought that was in association with that. I just wanted to give them a shout out.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
Angie. Next, under departments, on behalf of Ms. Keela Ward, who is the Director of the Education and Workforce Development. She sent me an email this afternoon, and she would like for me to share with you all that this year's Michigan City Promise scholarships will award 30 from the class of 2026. 4 are from Marquette High School, and the graduates and the rest are from Michigan City High School. And also, before we move on our agenda, I would like to acknowledge, we have special guests. We have the senator, we have the state representative here. We also have Mr. Brian Nelson here with Troop 876 from Queen of All Saints, and Troop number 802 from Long Beach, and they are here to get merit badges. So if you would please stand, and we would like to welcome you into the Michigan City Council chambers. Thank you, and thank you for being with us this evening. Next on our council agenda, Madam Clerk, do we have any petitions for this evening?
There are no petitions this evening.
Madam Clerk, if you would, communications.
Correspondence was received in the clerk's office on June 30th from Carly Dunn regarding the Michigan City Police Department block system. Public Access Counselor Complaint 5743 and 5744 was received on June 30th from President Tillman advising these 2 formal complaints filed were denied there was no ODL violation. Correspondence was received on June 26th from Mayor Angie regarding the conflict of interest statements from Michigan City Board Commissions pursuant to Section 2-440 of the Michigan City Municipal Code. Correspondence was received June 12th from IDEM regarding a permit renewal for Northern Indiana Public Service Company, LLC, NIPSCO, permit number 091-499-24-00021. That's it.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, our first resolution by title only, please.
A resolution by title only approving submission of the application for a grant for the City of Michigan City from the Indiana Department of Transportation Office of Aviation for airport pavement maintenance and supporting the local match for said grant. And this is introduced by Ms. Moldenauer.
And would the sponsor like to make any comments?
Yes, I would love to ask the airport manager, Jessica Ward, come up and to present what this resolution is about. And thank you for being here.
Hello, Jessica Ward, Airport Manager, back again. I know 2 months in a row. NDOT Office of Aviation has come up with a program because of the Indiana City budget shortfalls with new legislation passed to assist airports in pavement maintenance. They used to have a 50-50 state-local program, but it ended over a decade ago. And this is the first year they've decided to revive it with funding for this pavement program. They're offering a 75% state and 25% local match program. They have $5 million in the program. That they're going to offer the first 50 airports that apply out of 65 in the state that are able to apply. Their 75% match taps out at $100,000. Let's see. We are submitted a pre-application to make sure that the project was eligible, and we got pre-approval from the state for the grant. We just finished the $730,000 crack seal surface coat project on our runway and parallel taxiway this past summer, and our local match for that project was $36,477, which was 5% of the total. So this current grant opportunity would finish the rest of the airport pavement that wasn't in the scope of the last AIP grant that we just completed. The local portion of our grant would be a total of $33,333.33. The taxi lane improvements are needed to made to preserve quality, reduce water infiltration, and further degradation of asphalt in the subgrade. Receiving this grant would allow us to significantly reduce the local financial burden for these pavement repairs from 100% local funding request next year to only 25% local funding this year. So total for our pavement, with this will complete all of the project for all of our airport pavement. We had $860,000, and our local total was only $69,000 of that. So I am hoping that you guys will make the resolution and fund the project.
Okay, I will open this resolution up for public comments. Public comments are now open on this resolution. Are there any public comments on this resolution? Are there any public comments on this resolution? If there are no comments, public comments are now closed. Comments from the council. Councilwoman Moldenauer.
Thank you, Madam President. I hope my fellow council persons will look upon this favorably and approve this project. I've learned a lot about the subgrade that's under what looks like pretty topping. And if that does get destroyed or destructed through water, ice, freezing, whatever, then it becomes a very expensive process to have to replace the whole thing. So this resolution here will complete all of the paving at the airport. And I think this is a very wise use of $33,333.33 of this city's money. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman Dabney.
I have a motion to approve.
Support.
You said Councilman Nelson. Did you have a comment?
Yes, I want to know, what was the total cost that you're looking to match?
The state is 75%, which is $100,000, and ours would be 25%, which is $33,333.33.
And what's the deadline for that?
So the grant, you can apply starting, I believe, July 15th, and then it closes December 31st. So it's just for this year.
Okay, so you would, in essence, you would need to get I guess through this avenue, you would need to get approval today to meet the July 15th deadline.
Correct. Yeah. And that's just when the application opens. But we want to definitely make sure that we're one of the first 50, because there's 65 airports in the state that can apply for this grant. They can only fund 50 airports. So we want to make sure that our grant application is in and funded.
And what does this amplify within the airport? Like what is this helping out again?
This is actually going to pave like all of our taxi lanes that are around our hangar section, and then the taxi lanes that go up to our parallel taxiway and our tarmac. So it's just going to complete the rest of the pavement that was not done in this last $730,000 project we had for the parallel taxiway and the runway.
And how substantial to operations is it if it doesn't get done?
Well, if it doesn't get done, then, I mean, it's just going to be a local cost only, because normally we don't get funding for this type of thing. It would just be crack sealing and painting locally, so we would have to pay the whole portion. So this is an opportunity for us to have it 75% covered by the state and only match 25% for the rest of the pavement.
Okay.
I hope that answered the question.
Yes, that did. Thank you.
Okay. Yep.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second on the floor. Madam Clerk, on the vote, please.
Dr. Cora,
Aye.
Miss Lee,
Aye.
Miss Moldenauer,
Aye.
Mr. Nelson.
I'm a no, because I don't know where this 33, where are we getting this from? So, yeah.
Miss
No.
Tillman,
Aye.
Mr. Coulter,
Aye.
and Mr. Dabney.
Aye.
We have 6 in favor and 1 opposed.
Thank you.
And this resolution has passed. Congratulations. Madam Clerk, on our first ordinance this evening on first reading by title only.
An ordinance on first reading by title only, approving additional appropriation in the budget of the general fund for the purchase of road salt and supplies for the street department, vehicle lift expense and maintenance expenses for central services and city hall repairs. And this is introduced by Ms. Tillman, Mr. Dabney, Dr. Cora, and Mr. Beatrice.
And do the sponsors have any comments they would like to make at this time? If there are none, I will open this up for public comments. Are there any public comments on this ordinance on first reading? Any public comments on this ordinance? Are there any public comments on this ordinance? If there are no public comments on this ordinance, public comments are now closed. Comments from the council? Are there any comments from the council? Comments from the council? If there are none, this will be held over to second reading. Madam Clerk, on our next ordinance on first reading by title only.
An ordinance on first reading by title only, approving additional appropriation in the budget of the rainy day fund for street and sidewalk repair. And this is introduced by Mr. Preselinski, Mr. Dabney, Dr. Cora, and Mr. Beatrice.
And does any of the sponsors like to make any comments?
Madam President, as is self-explanatory, this is for sidewalk repairs, which is needed, and I think this would be a good use of these funds. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to open this up now for public comments. Are there any public comments on this ordinance? Are there any public comments on this ordinance? Do I have any public comments on this ordinance? If there are none, public comments are now closed. Comments from the council, Councilman Nelson?
Okay, so just a few questions. Which streets are we going to be improving with this 300,000? How is it determined? That's gonna knock us down to 805,000 in the rainy day fund for the rest of the year. And I guess when was the last time we put money in the rainy day fund before we start just taking money out of it? So yeah, my biggest question is which streets are gonna be improved? And how is that gonna be determined? That's gonna determine my yes or no on this.
If I'm not mistaken, well, I don't have anyone here from the street department or city engineer, but if I'm not mistaken, I believe a list was provided to the council members that this would be impacted with, and also to determine what street needs to be repaired or sidewalks, that is based off of the PACER, which is an evaluation where it rates from 10 to 1.
So when we submitted our CCMG, we didn't receive it initially. So we applied for $1 million. We didn't get $1 million. We didn't get that funding. They came back with another round and we submitted a list. And again, it was based on the PACER, but we know that there are additional roads, one in particular, and I'll just name the road because we have several on the west side that are getting done, but over in, off of Maple Street and some others, the project is a little bit bigger than what we have in the CCMG in the match. So we knew some additional funds were going to be needed to complete the project. But yes, you have a list that was sent to you previously. If you look in your email from the CCMG, that was approved. So you do have that. And the second piece of that, the sidewalks. And again, sidewalks is a whole thing that I've been impressing on our engineer that, the delay needs to stop because the money is there. So we have 3 buckets for sidewalks, and one is CDBG, is part of the money. Some is budgeted, and then some is ARPA. The ARPA has to get spent this year. There is a running list. I don't know if you've given any street sidewalk lists, but there is a running list that has been accumulating from all the council members. And that's what we're using for the sidewalk list. And any sidewalk that is, if there's an ADA issue or if there is a liability issue, those are the ones that need to get done first. But it's because of the council members providing those lists of sidewalks. So that's where that list is from the sidewalks. There's no, our intern has been going around doing an inventory of the sidewalks. So he has started doing that. He was one of the interns who did our ADA list last year. So he's back this year working through that as well. So that is being done. But if you have some, just submit them. But we have a running list from the council people that are on that expansive sidewalk list. And I don't know if you understand, if you know, it's expensive. You don't get a whole lot of sidewalks for the money. So our goal is to spend the ARPA money. I think between the ARPA money, the additional appropriation in CDBG, we're looking at $500,000, $575,000. Don't quote me on that number because I have to go back and look. But there are 3 buckets of money for the sidewalk. So if you have a list, please make sure you get it to Engineer Tim Warner.
Thank you. I did get that list and I have not submitted any streets. So yes, I will get on it. I appreciate that.
Are there any other comments from any other Councilwoman Moldenauer?
Yes, I would request to be added as a sponsor on this ordinance, please. Thank you.
Are there any other council members that would like to be added at this time?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd like to be added.
Thank you, Councilman Coulter. If there are no other comments, this ordinance will be carried over for second reading at the next council meeting. Madam Clerk, on our next ordinance on first reading by title only.
An ordinance on first reading by title only, authorizing and approving a payment of lieu of taxes pilot agreement with Garden Estates Preservation LLC. And this is introduced by Ms. Tillman, Dr. Cora, Mr. Dabney, and Mr. Beatrice.
And would any other sponsors like to make any comments at this time? Councilman Dabney.
Yeah, these are the type of projects that I really get excited about. We're going to be helping out some of the least fortunate here in Michigan City with the improvements that are going to be going on over at Garden Estates. And I'm really happy to see this project come to fruition. We see all the other building all over the place and, you know, the different homes that are coming up. And I'm really happy to see this happening with the low income improvements and the housing out there. So this is reasons that you want to be on the city council, at least reasons why I want to be on city council, to be able to do things like this. So my heart is warm here. I can't wait for her to give a presentation to talk about this.
Dr. Cora.
Yeah, thank you, Madam President. I did attend the workshop which we had, and the things that impressed me was that it will improve the quality of life of these residents. Modern amenities will be added. It will improve the safety and security of the families who live there. And the thing that really I was impressed by was that as they're doing this work, it'll be done in phases, which will cause minimum amount of disruption for those families. So I'm very happy to be a co-sponsor for this.
Okay. And so right now I would like to ask if Ms. Ashley Feldman and Leva Spiegler of Fairfields Development, they will be providing a presentation to the council. You have the floor.
Thank you. Good evening, council members. Thank you for your time this evening. My name is Ashley Feldman, and I'm a developer at Fairstead, a national vertically integrated real estate organization that specializes in the preservation and development of affordable housing. I'm here tonight to speak with you all about Garden Estates West Apartments. I will note that we do not currently own the property. We have an agreement in place with the seller to acquire the property next year. As noted, we did have the opportunity to present at a Common Council workshop, so I'll keep tonight's presentation a little bit more brief. So Fairstead owns over 30,000 units across the country. We also manage over 30,000 units across the country. We're currently operating in 28 states. You'll note from the map here that Indiana is currently not one of those states, but we are very excited about the opportunity to bring high quality, affordable housing to the residents of Michigan City. In 2025, based off of the data from last year, Fairstead was recognized by Affordable Housing Finance as the #1 developer completing substantial rehabilitations across the country. And we're looking to bring that expertise and experience to the residents and community of Michigan City. So a little bit about Garden Estates West Apartments. The property is located at 909 Pine Tree Court in the 4th Ward. The property was constructed in 1970, and there have not been any major substantial rehabilitation since. There are 174 units, 29 buildings, made up of 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, and 3 bedrooms. And the property is currently around 95% occupied. So there is a need for affordable housing within the community. Upon acquisition, which again would be slated for next year, Fairstead would take on the roles of ownership, developer, and manager. We are long-term owners as well as managers, so it's really important to us that when we complete rehabilitations, that we're really putting in the highest quality products for both the residents as well as our own management teams. The rehabilitation will be financed using low-income housing tax credits and tax-exempt bond proceeds issued by Indiana Housing and Community Development Authority. And in terms of affordability, 100% of the units will be reserved for residents who are at or below 60% of the area median income. Additionally, 171 of 174 units are subsidized by HUD via a HAP contract, meaning those residents pay 30% of their income on rent. And that will be true after the renovation is complete as well. So if their income does not change, they will receive brand new apartments, but will not have to pay any difference in their rent. Our proposed investment is $15.6 million, which is around $90,000 per unit. And that will be a comprehensive rehab, both interiors as well as exteriors. And as noted, we do plan on implementing and installing brand new amenities for the residents, which currently the property has no amenities. So we're planning on building a new ground-up community building, leasing office, installing a new playground, picnic tables, and barbecues, all for the residents to enjoy. So I've just included a couple of images here of current conditions. Again, the property doesn't have any common area amenities. And then on the next slide, you'll see sample post-rehab project photos. So again, we're long-term owners, we are managers, we want to put in the best products for these residents. So stainless steel appliances, solid surface countertops. We want products that will last because again, we will be managing the units and we want to make sure that the products will last the time. In addition to the physical upgrades, we also are proposing improved resident services for the property. So we will be offering resident services via Rainbow Housing. We'll also be offering free renters insurance for the residents. We'll have a new community room, leasing office, playground, picnic area, and barbecue. We'll also be installing new security cameras with 24/7 live access and monitoring. We also really welcome the opportunity to partner with the Michigan City Police Department to make a lasting positive change for both the residents and the community. We also plan to work with local providers. Having a new space with a community building will allow us to invite community partners to the property, and there will actually be a space for events to take place because, again, at the moment, there really are no community spaces available at the property. In terms of deal timeline, so again, we're planning on acquiring the property next year, noted here as July 2027. The reason that I'm bringing this request to the city at this point is really due to the timeline of Indiana's tax-exempt bond program, which has a tax-exempt bond application deadline of July 27th of 2026. So we would have the first council meeting tonight, and if approved, I would respectfully request if we could combine a second and third ordinance hearing on July 21st, such that we can include documentation in our application to Indiana's tax exempt bond program by the July 27th deadline. One note on the pilot itself. The property does not need a pilot for us to do this project. The project would go on. We would do our absolute best to provide the highest quality amenities and services for the residents. However, it is a very difficult time right now in affordable housing to develop. Interest rates are going up. The capital markets are very soft. And so having a pilot really gives the deal resiliency against those outside factors that are taking place. Unfortunately, when interest rates go up and developers have to make difficult decisions about what stays in a deal and what leaves a deal, it's typically the really nice to have items that are the first to be cut. So again, we want to be able to build a new community building. We want to be able to offer a new playground. Having a pilot would give us the resiliency that we need to be able to ensure that the residents get the amenities and services that we think they deserve. So in summary, again, we are proposing a $15.6 million investment in the property. And for our pilot request, we're requesting a 25% pilot over a 20-year term, such that the total payment over the 20-year period would be $720,000, and the total tax savings from the pilot would be just under $2 million. Again, the residents would really benefit directly from a pilot. There would be no impact to the residents' rent. They would continue to pay 30% of their income. And in return, they would get new finishes, including new in-unit features such as the dishwasher, in-unit washers and dryers, as well as the finishes that you saw in the prior photos, as well as a new community building, leasing office, playground, picnic and barbecue area, new security cameras with monitoring, as well as other features that we hope to provide to the property. With that, I'd like to thank you all for your time, and I welcome any questions.
Dr. Cora.
Yeah, thank you, Madam President. Ms. Feldman, can you go back to the last slide?
Sure.
The summary slide. Can you explain for us in the pilot request, total pilot payment, 721,000 in total tax savings from pilot 1.96. Can you explain the difference between these two?
Sure. So over the 20-year period, an analysis was conducted by DEF Consulting, and the estimated taxes for the property on an annual basis are around $133,000 per year. And so we're asking that in lieu of paying 100% of the taxes, we would pay 25% of the taxes. So the annual payment would be around $35,000 per year. There is escalation accounted for annually within the actual pilot agreement. So over the 20-year period, the amount that we would pay would be $720,000 to the city in taxes. And then the savings that we would incur by not paying 100% of taxes would be just under $2 million.
Thank you.
Do the Councilman Dabney?
Yes, and just to explain, what the pilot does in regards to cutting those taxes or the dollar amounts that will be paid into the city, that puts more money into the project in order for them to be able to make those amenities that she talked about, the community building and the infrastructure and the security cameras and all of that. So that's where those savings dollars will be mulled back into the improvements of the building itself.
Correct. Every dollar that we receive as additional funding as a result of the pilot will go directly into the development of this property. Yes.
Also, the pilot, Director Skylar, Director of Redevelopment. So I've been working with this project for a minute. So keep in mind too that the pilot payments will then go into your affordable housing fund that you have established. It will be paid just like the Silver Birch Fund and things like that. So it's a direct payment to basically the city at that point in time. So it'll be recycled even more in that affordable housing fund and give you guys some flexibility for spending on affordable housing outside this project.
Councilwoman Lee.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you for all of this information. You mentioned that there are 174 units. Are you increasing that amount or is it going to stay exactly the same?
So there's no plan to increase the amount. However, right now, one of those units, well, 3 of those units are held by the current owner and used by management, including one of the units, which is actually the current leasing office. So while we're not changing the total count of units, we plan to bring all 3 of those units back online. So they would be offered to new qualifying households.
Thank you.
Can you also elaborate in regards to when this development takes place, in regards to how this is phased in and how families will be placed until their units are ready to be returned and moved back in?
Yes, absolutely. Because of the shorter presentation, I took that slide out, but I'm happy to walk through it for the rest of the group here. So because of the scale of the rehabilitation within each unit, we are required to relocate the households. No resident would be permanently displaced from the property as long as they continue to qualify to live there. But no resident would be permanently relocated to another property. However, because of the scale, we would have to move the residents out of their units. So typically for a standard unit, it's about 3 to 4 weeks that the residents would be moved out of their apartments. All costs associated with relocation are covered by the owner and developer. But typically we do this work in phases. So our plan is to vacate 3 buildings at a time. Each building has 6 units. So we would have 18 units that would be moved. And typically what we do is we select 3 buildings. Those residents would be not permanently. They would be moved off-site for the duration of construction, which we're expecting to be around 12 to 15 months. And we would pay for them to live in off-site housing, market rate housing. Again, all costs would be covered by us. We would renovate those units first. We would have an open house for the residents, for the community here, so that you could actually see, what the new units will look like. It gets residents typically excited about what's to come because construction is always difficult. And then we use those apartments as hotel units. So when we move to the next 3 sets of buildings, all of the residents would then go into the hotel units. And what this allows us to do is it allows us to keep the majority of the residents on site for the duration of construction, especially because it's a multifamily property. We know that there are households with children, with school buses and everything. Like, keeping as many people on site as we can we have found it to be the best process. Again, all costs for moving, packing, are covered by us. We also hire a full-time on-site relocation coordinator who will go around and meet with all of the residents to go through questionnaires, understand each individual's specific situation. If they have any medical equipment that needs to be moved, we'll hire the special movers to make sure everyone is set up properly. We've relocated tens of thousands of residents across the country through these substantial rehabilitations. So we're very confident in our ability to do it. We also host resident meetings prior to construction starting to kind of walk everyone through the process so they know what to expect. And there's a lot of transparency, leading up to the start of the work taking place.
I will now open this up for public comment.
I got a question.
Oh, I'm sorry, Councilman Nelson. Councilman Nelson, please.
In your last open house, how many residents showed up?
Can I answer that? To my knowledge, none. Not that physically reside there.
You spoke on door to door and engaging with them. What's your time frame on that? And how has that? Have you initiated that already, or that's something that you're hoping to do?
So at the moment, we don't own the property. So communication with the residents is not something that we are allowed to directly participate in at the moment. However, we have just submitted some documentation to HUD as part of the acquisition of the property. And as a result, there will be some notices going out to all of the residents to make them aware of the upcoming acquisition. We typically include a cover letter with those notices to, again, let everyone know that they will not be permanently displaced, but also to make sure that they're aware of what's currently going on. But no, we have not had the opportunity to speak directly with the residents at the property. As we get closer to a closing, which again, right now we're looking at July of 27, so we're about a year out. But as we get closer to closing, typically, and it really varies from seller to seller, we may have the opportunity to engage with the residents before closing, but if not, it would be immediately after closing.
Thank you. You spoke on relocation and displacement. You also spoke on qualifying. So are these residents going to have to reapply to get back into these units and to qualify for displacement relocation?
So they won't have to, I wouldn't say they have to reapply. However, HUD requires, and also Indiana's Housing Authority requires, that all of the residents receive certifications to live at the property. So because 171 of the units are subsidized by HUD, as long as all of the residents who live there actually qualify to live there through HUD's guidelines, which we would expect that they would, they will qualify through the Indiana Housing Program as well. But we do go through an income certification upon acquisition, and that takes place over the first few months that we own the property.
So they have to reapply an application.
It's a recertification, so they have to resubmit their financial documentation to ensure that they are qualified to live there. I wouldn't call it an application process necessarily, because they have to submit paperwork every year anyway, so it's not like an application, but they do need to provide documentation.
Okay.
And as long as they qualify, they can stay in the same unit.
And far as I know President Tillman, she spoke on 0 residents showed up. How are you going about, I guess, how did you go about promoting it? And you know what I'm saying? Illuminating for the residents to come out.
If I may, in regards to that, from the workshop, that question was proposed. And I believe that Fairstead, if we hold any other additional workshops, things of that nature, or out through the community, would you be able to come and speak, or just speak as a whole? We can do it that way, but not person to person reaching out from Fairstead to the residents. But as council members, we can definitely do any type of workshops or communications, or go out there and talk with the residents.
Okay, even before
But they can't. But until they solidify taking over or subduing the property, they're not allowed to do that.
Correct.
But we can.
And with the notices that do go out to the residents that are associated with the HUD application, there is contact information on those notices. So if the residents do have questions, there is an opportunity to reach out to to us directly as well.
Okay, I got one more question.
Sure.
What percentage of current residents return after y'all go through this process of the recertification and remodeling?
Pretty much everyone. I mean, especially at a HUD property where the rents are not going to change for the households, and they're getting brand new unit finishes. They're going to have access to brand new amenities. Residents typically stay. They're excited about what's to come. We again offer we host the open houses so that the residents can see what the units will look like, and yeah, typically residents will stay.
Madam President, if I could just make a quick comment.
Yes,
just for clarity, that recertification process is not something that you're requiring, but rather a requirement of HUD.
Correct.
That they recertify annually. And I just want to make sure the councilman knows that it's not a condition of this deal, but rather a requirement of HUD that they recertify annually, which they have to do anyway, regardless of this project. They have
Yes,
to do that.
and the same thing for the tax credit program. So the residents have to recertify. It's not our requirement. It is actually coming from both HUD and the tax credit agency.
Can I just also sum it up too, as an example? It's an audit. Just making sure that everything is in alignment with what they have already on.
Just trying to decipher if it was some extra criteria or some people was going to be without housing after the scenario. That's what I was trying to figure out.
Councilman Dabney?
Yeah, I mean, they would, unless they don't qualify anymore, according to HUD, they'd be able to stay. If they don't qualify anymore, then they have to move regardless. So it's not like anybody will be kicked out if they continue to qualify under HUD standards.
Correct.
Correct. Thank you.
And I will now open this up for public comments. Are there any public comments on this ordinance? If you will please state your name and you're allotted your 3 minutes.
Yes, this is Tommy Kolovic. I think once this project is complete, I want to strongly encourage those residents to establish a homeowners association. You know, your homeowners association president, they can get the word out and come to these workshops, and this is going to be affecting their lives. I think this is going to be a good improvement. I watched the workshop that you had, so they need to establish an HOA, just like Woodland Ridge and more. They're all established in HOAs.
Thank you.
Good evening, council members. Paul Prisbalinski, 1716 Washington Street. Since this is a pilot program and they would receive this contract, let's put it the way it is, contract is that they would pay less than 43% of their actual tax assessment. Now, is there any guarantee in the contract that these amenities will be constructed? Can I ask your counsel, has he reviewed it?
Yes.
There are guarantees in the contract?
There are certain guarantees, and we can have the presenter speak to that too.
I'll take your word for it this time.
Yes.
But I think that that's the perspective that you have to look at, but also, didn't you just pass some kind of rules on how much that you will give in lieu of to organizations? I take it your organization is tax not for profit, correct? That's not correct?
That is not correct.
Then that doesn't apply. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Prisbalinski. Are there any other public comments at this time? Are there any other public comments? Do we have anyone online? We do not. This is last call for public comments. Public comments are now closed. Comments from the council? Any comments from the council? Any comments from the council? There are none. This will be held over for second reading at the next council meeting. Madam Clerk, our next ordinance on first reading by title only, please.
An ordinance on first reading by title only, an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Michigan City, Indiana, amending the text of Michigan City Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance number 4120, referred to as Housing Infill Amendment. And this is introduced by Mr. Dabb.
And does the sponsor like to make any comments?
Yeah, I'm sure I'm going to piggyback off of some of the things that Dr. Edwards talks about here. I'll allow her to go ahead and go first and just give a little synopsis of what's happening. And I'm sure I have a couple of comments here that I'll have as well.
Good evening, everyone. Dr. Dominic Edwards. I'm the planning director. So initially, I would like to state that this ordinance is incredibly vital and necessary as we work to preserve the neighborhood aesthetics and characteristics of our historic neighborhoods that my colleague Skylar has worked incredibly hard on what this looks like for our community. This ordinance has already been implemented in our waterfront residential, which is R1E district, for the past 10 years and is being transitioned to our R1D single family residential districts. It's incredibly necessary for our infill housing efforts, especially in neighborhoods such as Canada, Eastport, Westside, Lakeland, for example. And for those who are unfamiliar with infill housing, as we've heard in the term infill a number of times this evening, but infill housing, and if you're hearing this language for the first time, infill housing is the development of vacant or underutilized parcels within existing and established neighborhoods, rather than building on undeveloped land. This ordinance provides a more realistic approach to infill with the sense that we take less restrictions off our current building and zoning requirements, and we're more fluid with our setbacks due to some of the vacant lots in the older neighborhoods not being able to meet what we have in the code currently due to lot sizes. Through amending this ordinance, it's incredibly vital for some of our processes of some of our statutory boards, such as the Board of Zoning Appeals. Due to, for example, when certain building dimensionals are not met, whether that be setbacks or home sizes, which currently we have 1,000 square foot minimum, we would make the builder or the resident apply for what's called a development standards variance, thus prompting what could be a very simple fix internally within our department, be put through a very strenuous appeals process, and then be at the mercy of Board of Zoning Appeals approval or denial. If a petition is denied, that developer or that resident would have to wait a year to reapply, and we don't want to further hinder filling in the gaps of our housing challenges. So by amending this ordinance, this provides builders with alternative design standards that they can choose to use or not. These are optional design standards. So they're more flexible design guidelines, and this gets us away from our current restrictions that we have already. Another example that has come through our Board of Zoning Appeals over the last several months is that an applicant that applied for a development standard variance in our waterfront residential district that had 0 lot lines. So that meaning that they cannot meet those the current setbacks for the remodel of their home whatsoever, thus creating what we call a hardship. That's what usually triggers a petitioner or a developer to go through our Board of Zoning Appeals when a lot size or a setback or a building dimensional does not meet our current code. It creates what we call a hardship. And that's what triggers going through our Board of Zoning Appeals, which can be very unequitable for some, especially low-income residents that are needing to make any different remodels or changes to their home, thus putting them at the mercy or the risk of having to spend thousands of dollars to go through our Board of Zoning Appeals process. Folks that have worked with me over the last year, I always highly recommend that they get an attorney to go through the Board of Zoning Appeals process so that they are appropriately represented, for one, and that they understand the challenges of that Board of Zoning Appeals process, thus trying to make sure that they're set up for success in such a way. Furthermore, this ordinance assists us. It helps us with buildings and structures, even new builds that may be non-conforming, to become more conforming with utilizing these alternative standards. And once again, I want to really hone in on the fact that these alternative standards are a value add to our existing ordinance. So in the process that a builder says, you know what, I don't want to use these new standards. I want to default to the original code. So the original codes in the exhibit, in those building dimensionals, they still exist for them to utilize. These alternative standards are optional. And so additionally, by amending the code to extend these design guidelines into our R1D zone neighborhoods and parcels, this makes us a contender and a regional leader alongside other municipalities and peer cities, such as City of South Bend, by providing these alternative standards to increase housing supply and give rise towards neighborhood revitalization. Thank you.
And I'll jump in and comment. I met with Dr. Edwards earlier this afternoon, and on the way out, she said, I'll come up with something. And that right there is what she came up with. That is extremely impressive, what you did there. And so I'm trying to put this in a little bit of layman's terms. What the city aims to do is just enable development on substandard lots without requiring these lengthy processes like having to go through Board of Zoning and Appeals. It'll now, put this into the planning department's hands. And so some of the core mechanics of this thing is that, especially with lots on the corners or something like that, somebody wants to build a house on the corner. And there maybe certain setbacks that don't allow it to fit, then we can use the average size of the houses on the block in order to, to fit a home in there. And what it does is it actually protects the neighborhood and the way the neighborhood is set up. So somebody can't come in on a block full of, 900 square foot homes and then come in and build a 3,200 square foot home on the corner or something like that, or reverse. They can't come and build something smaller, a tiny house, if everything else on the block is 900 square feet. So it keeps that conformity of the whole block. So that is, something that we're looking at doing there. And as you said, this has already been done in places like Fort Wayne. I believe South Bend is doing that as well. So it's going to preserve the look of the neighborhood, and it's just going to be a lot more efficient, like I said, to go through these without having to do an application to get on the Board of Zoning and Appeals. As Dr. Edwards said, that can become rather costly when these things can be handled internally moving forward. So this is what we're looking to do. There's going to be a bigger presentation of this on second reading that we have for the Planning Commission. And that was passed out of the Planning Commission with a favorable recommendation coming to the council. So you'll get a chance to see more and hear a little bit more about this. But I think it's a good thing, and hopefully we get a chance to move forward with it.
I'd like to open this up now for public comment on this ordinance.
Paul Przybylski, 1716 Washington Street, former member of the city council and was on the plan commission at one time and personally have filed for exemptions. And I think that what the city needs to look at is the antiquated new planning that was passed on this county land use idea that the county doesn't follow and the city of LaPorte doesn't follow. And I think that the whole thing needs to be re-examined, not just this particular part. And I think that I had talked to the planning department before about this is kind of what I was thinking about, that there's different standards for older neighborhoods. And will there be a hearing process in this? Because I certainly don't want somebody to subdivide their lots. And I'll give you an example. I own 2 lots. So I want to propose this question. Could I subdivide those lots and then build a home on there? That we have some small homes in the older neighborhoods with big homes on certain areas on corner lots. So could you put a tiny home there? That's the question to ask. And that's what a lot of people in the community are concerned with. Bringing in these tiny homes and disrupting a whole neighborhood and disrupting the property value in the neighborhood. And that's another thing that you have to think about. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council. Dakota Euler, 718 Emma Street. A little misconstrued, I guess, with comments that were made by Dr. Edwards' comments. It kind of sounded like sub 1,000 were available to build, and then Brian's comments kind of made it sound like no sub 1,000. I personally am supportive of one sub 1,000 development. Myself, as a 33-year-old single employment, Workforce housing is important. If you want to bring people here, build tax income, you got to build, need to grow. So sub 1,000, good to go. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments on this ordinance? Public comments. Public comments. This will be the last call for public comments. Public comments are now closed. Comments from the council, Councilman Nelson.
Speaking of tiny houses, with them trending in today's market, what effect is this going to have, positive or negative? Is this going to allow people to explore tiny houses, especially within the Eastport neighborhood, with so many vacant lots and I got so many people willing to actually, explore that avenue of sub 1,000, as Dakota would say. So I would just like to know what effect is that going to have? What is this ordinance like? Is this going to help or hurt? I know Dabney spoke on in certain neighborhoods, just making sure that you can't have a tiny house, but in certain neighborhoods, like over there by the administration building, where some houses like are 1,000, 11, 1,200, so I mean, are you going to be able to put a tiny house in those areas and not other areas, or?
Councilman, so I wrote this ordinance. We have had this ordinance for a few years, but now we've taken it, and it was always meant to be expanded into like the R1D. It was kind of, we used it in R1E, and it's actually worked in the R1E district to put houses back on substandard lots, smaller lots. So, Councilman, to answer your question though directly, what it does is it preserves what's in the neighborhood. So that's really the goal. It's really about Mr. Prespolinski was concerned about something that fits in. That's absolutely what this ordinance does. It helps us at a staff level say yes to something that fits into a neighborhood, that fits into the block. So, for example, I'll use my block, for example. All the houses on my block are sub 1,000. They're all in the 900s to probably 650 to 900. So you would average the size of those houses and you would be able to build back a sub 1,000 house. You'd be somewhere, for example, there's a couple that are, I can think of one block where there's some that are 725. You would average those, you would be able to build back a 725 house. So the point of it is you can move the house around on the lot, push it forward so it matches the houses, and then also it matches the sizes of the houses. Because there's also an equity piece to this as well. We need to make sure that the improvements that do go on to these lots cover the infrastructure costs, the running of the city, et cetera, things of that nature, just like every other house is paying when they pay their taxes. So it's really balancing that out and just making sure that we're putting something back in the neighborhood that fits. Does that make sense? So yes, you could build something that is sub 1,000.
We can't hear you, Councilman Nelson.
Yeah,
You're muted.
So on the flip side of that, I could build even larger within a smaller neighborhood that go both ways, or?
So right now the minimum is 1,000. So if 1,000 fits on a lot, you're more than happy. We're more than, you can build that. You don't have to use the alternative standards. It's just a standard. We've been seeing people come to us and say, I want to build on this lot. It's only 42 feet wide and 100 foot deep, but it's really hard to fit 1,000 square feet on that. It really is. It's really tight. The setbacks may not work, but if you could slide your house up forward and then go, say, to match the other houses on the block that are, say, 600, 650, 700, you'd be able to do that. So it allows you to put a house back there that matches what's already there. Does that make sense? So yes, but you could come to us and say, I'm going to build a 2,200 square foot house on this lot, and there really isn't. If you match all the setbacks and you match the massing and everything that's required right now, you'd be able to put it back. This is just meant to encourage things to go back into our neighborhoods that match, that fit our neighborhoods.
Okay, and just last question. So as a builder or developer, I would have the opportunity to propose something within the neighborhood, and it would be yay or nay.
as long as it fit into whatever, the setbacks end up being, or whatever the average setbacks are, or whatever the standard that exists today, that standard will stay. It just gives us a little bit of opportunity to flex a little bit and to not put people through a variance process. For example, if a house builder burns down on a corner, it's really hard to build back a house on a corner because you have two side yards and they're 20 foot and 20 foot. They're really a suburban standard, and we're trying to put a suburban standard in a very urban neighborhood, and it just doesn't work. It historically hasn't worked anywhere in America. So it's really about putting things back that match. So that if that house burned down on the corner, we would have an opportunity to help that person put the house back on its original location, because we'd be able to flex that standard.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
I also want to make sure that I hone in on some really important language here, which is the equity piece, as well as sustainability, preservation, and revitalization. So the amendment of this ordinance allows us to do that. So Councilman Nelson, as you were asking specifically about some of the impacts on the Eastport neighborhood or the West Side neighborhood and things like that, this actually isn't a ordinance that is designed to hinder or create more challenges. It is to alleviate a burden of addressing our housing challenges, specifically in our historic neighborhoods. So what I've been doing recently is analyzing specifically Eastport, West Side, and whatnot. And so I'm seeing some very common trends of smaller lot sizes, non-conforming lots, and things like that. And as Skylar stated, if a resident's house were to burn down and we do not implement these alternative standards, they cannot build back right. They can't build their house back, right? Because they cannot meet the current building dimensionals as they are. So once again, I also want to make sure that it is understood that these are alternative guidelines. They are not, a builder or a resident, they don't have to follow this, but it does default back to what is currently already established in our code. So there's flexibility and fluidity that is built into the amendment of the code, but it defaults back to what we have already currently. So I just want to make sure that that is understood, and that is also communicated to the council and the public as well. If you have any additional questions or concerns regarding the language or the ways in which that we're proposing the amendment of the ordinance.
Thank you.
If I might, when we do our presentation, we actually have some diagrams that we've worked on and had them digitized, and they kind of explain a little bit better. A picture's worth 1,000 words, right? So it explains it a little bit better and visually and makes sense.
Did any other council members have any other additional questions or comments for Mr. York or Dr. Edwards? If there are none, this ordinance will be carried over for a second reading.
And I'm sorry, I will just take the liberty of saying that I will have a workshop or a planning commission meeting here, but I'll make that decision, find a time that we can all make it to that.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, do we have any new business?
Mayor Angie is requesting the advice consent of members of the Michigan City Common Council regarding her appointment of Jennifer Chaprinkas to the Michigan City Historic Preservation Commission. Terms begin immediately and expire 3/31/27.
I would like to ask for a motion to accept the mayor's request for advice and consent of the member of the Michigan City Common Council regarding the appointment of Jennifer Chaprinskas.
So moved.
Madam Chair, as the liaison to this commission, I just want to say that I've talked to members of it and they fully support this nomination.
Thank you. We have a motion, we have a first and a second.
Did Joe support that?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Thank you, Councilman Nelson. Madam Clerk, on the vote, please.
Ms. Lee? Aye. Ms. Moldenauer?
Aye.
Mr. Nelson?
Aye.
Ms. Tillman?
Aye.
Mr. Coulter?
Aye.
Mr. Dabney?
Aye.
And Dr. Cora?
Aye.
We have 7 in favor and no one opposed.
And congratulations, Jennifer, for your appointment to the Michigan City Historic Preservation Commission. Madam Clerk, do we have any unfinished business?
Nominations, the council has one appointment to the Veterans Commission due to Daniel Corley resignation on June 2nd, 2026. Term will begin immediately and expire 12/31/28. We did receive one application after the deadline from Tracy LeVay for information.
Okay. This unfinished business, until, I don't believe, council, I haven't had an opportunity to see that application. I don't know if any other council members has, so I would like to carry this over to our next council meeting. And if that information could be provided to the council. And we are now at comments from the public. I ask if public comments are now open. If you will please come forth and state your name and your current address, and you are allowed your 3 minutes.
Oh, Chris Blinsky, 1716 Washington Street. I would like to, first of all, tell the public, because it wasn't the information given out during the meeting, so I hope that I get credit for that on my time, that July 9th at 5 p.m. there will be a public hearing at the Sanitary District office for fee increases. So I hope everybody gets there, and I think they're putting the cart before the horse. I would also like to make a request, because I heard about all the money that we have in getting in here, is that why don't we make a request for toters for yard waste to the county from money we pay off of our taxes, since we can't afford it. The other thing that I think a lot of people missed, because there were only 2 council members or 3 council members at one workshop that we could ask questions, was the fact that the sanitary board said that we need to implement impact fees for people who are hooking up to the system to create revenue. And it's just like you saw tonight on these different projects coming in, is that's where you charge impact fees for water and sewer. And also that one development is on the east side of town, I believe. You better read what's proposed in their development, because the way I read it, the city is responsible for the roadways in there. And you saw on the screen it was like $6 and $9 million. So I think I was right. That was passed in 2019. I wasn't on the council, some of you weren't, but there were 3 people that were on the council when they passed that and gave us liability. Also, what was mentioned tonight about the what they want to call the infield amendment is called that flexing the standard. And specifically, I caught that because they talked about the stringent requirements, say, on a corner lot. I knew, and I voted against that when it was brought to the floor.
Mr. Prisbalinski, I
I live on
apologize.
a
Your
corner.
time has elapsed.
Okay, I want to make one more thing.
No, sir, your time
A
has
hearing
elapsed.
is a hearing needed
Mr. Prisbalinski.
for the neighbors on the infield.
A workshop on it. Hi.
Yes, this is Tommy Kolavic from 1316 Isle Street. I don't know if Mayor Angie's still here, but she give us an update on the reconstruction of Michigan Boulevard. It's been a project of ours ever since she took office. I mean, we were supposed to have it. She's applied for the raised infrastructure grant several times. That's failed. It's gone to other cities. The roads in the other cities are even worse than they are in Michigan City. I went to South Bend about a month ago. I had to haul some concrete. They got a place you can take your concrete for free over there by the South Bend. Bendix Drive, just west of the South Bend Airport, is just impassable. There's a lot of streets on the city, west side of the city over there. It's really bad. I want to know where we're at with Michigan Boulevard. We're going to wait till next year when there's election. Earl Birdwald, you say when the election comes around, the politicians always have to have things to point to. Is Mayor Angie going to point to the boulevard and say, well, hey, everybody, look what I did? So let's get that boulevard done. We're supposed to do it between Carroll Avenue and Case Street.
Thank you, Mr. Klavik. Are there any other public comment?
Dominic Yankee, 904 Willow Spring Drive. I admit that I was wrong about there being open door law violations. However, both of those past council meetings I mentioned did violate Municode Section 2-59 Order of Business, which lays out the order of City Council agenda items. It states that all of the items listed in subsection A of this section shall be taken up in the order named in this section unless unanimous consent is given otherwise. On an unrelated matter, Phase 1 of the Google Phoenix Maze data center included 70 diesel generators. A permit application was received by the Indiana Department of Environmental Management requesting approval of 66 additional generators, bringing the total to 132 backup diesel generators to the tune of 244.27 tons per year of nitrogen oxides. Nitrogen oxides react with volatile organic compounds in the air to create ground level ozone, a harmful air pollutant and the main ingredient in smog. Today, an Air Quality Action Day has been issued because ozone levels are in the unhealthy for sensitive groups range. Active children and adults and people with respiratory disease such as asthma should limit prolonged outdoor exposure. Some measures residents can take to reduce contributing to ground level ozone include walk, bike, carpool, or use public transportation. Avoid using the drive-through and combine errands into one trip. Avoid refueling your vehicle or use gasoline-powered lawn equipment until after 7 p.m. Turn off your engine when idling for more than 30 seconds. Conserve energy by turning off lights or setting the air conditioner to 75 degrees or above. Hopefully, the data center will take into consideration Air Quality Action Days when it decides to run monthly maintenance and testing of its generators. I encourage the council to ask the Indiana Department of Environmental Management to hold a public hearing here in Michigan City on the Google Data Center Air Quality Permit modification. Also, the City of Michigan City should look at site plan review and building permits before approving the construction of a second data center building at 402 Royal Road and consider the future health impact of a total of 132 polluting diesel generators on Ward 6 residents, including school children, the elderly, and local low-income communities such as Carwick Village Cooperative and Tall Timbers Townhouses. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Yankee. Yes.
Amy Lisinski, 104 Mayfield Drive, Michigan City. Just wanted to say that, following my FOIAs that I used to always come here and talk about, I realized the other day that you guys are sitting on 2 FOIAs, not you guys personally, but the city, and nobody seems to care when they don't follow the rules upstairs, but everybody else is responsible for following the rules. I've been waiting for a FOIA that's been out for almost 9 weeks, no reply, and one that's going on about 6 weeks, no reply. Just to save me from emailing my representative, I was out of town, just got back into town literally yesterday and drove on Royal Road or Tryon Road twice. Both times it was the truck still going the opposite direction because you guys can't get the developers or Google or whoever's in charge out there to follow the simple rules of the traffic pattern. And again, I just wanted to congratulate you guys on the terrible deal when you signed for Project Maze, because as we also just heard, Phase 2 well underway, 132 backup diesel generators. So it's not 66, it's not 70. Are they, and I've seen actually several people say, oh gosh, well, it's going to come before the council and now the council will turn it down. No, you guys won't, because you already approved this in your first resolution. I sat there and I emailed every one of you guys and said some of that language needed removed, specifically where you already gave them all permission to do whatever they wanted for future buildings. Nobody looked at those resolutions after they were given to you guys, and you didn't sit down here and debate things and say, maybe we can just adjust this one line, as I begged you guys to make adjustments. Some of you guys told me you were going to put protections in there for us. Never saw those protections get put in there. 132 backup diesel generators for a very poor deal. I hope you guys are very proud with this being in the backyard of schools next to homes and we all get to breathe it in. Maybe some of you guys would care more if it went right next to your homes because you guys do not care.
Thank you. Yes.
Shelly Yankee, 123 Data Center Way. Here I am a year later asking this council for help with the issues that are going on in my neighborhood. And I've seen you act in record speed when people and businesses from the Uptown Arts District area asked for help. When people were urinating and using the bathroom on their doorstep, you acted in record speed. Yesterday, I had an issue on Royal Road in front of the data center. They had both lanes of the road blocked with semis so no one could get through. So I called the police department. And you know what the response from my police department was? Well, ma'am, whenever we get a chance, we'll get to it. I've seen this mayor, the city council, our police department decide to take sides with Phoenix investors who have been terrible neighbors, who haven't followed the rules. And Dr. Cora, this one's for you. Last week, there were several calls made to 911 about children in the area of the data center that couldn't breathe. I really don't understand how you made these decisions for the people that live in this neighborhood that are going to affect us for the rest of our life.
Dakota Euler, 718 Emma Street. I just wanted to thank the city departments, which include the street department, city parks, Michigan City Police, Michigan City Fire, and special events for the wonderful fireworks display that we had in Washington Park. I understand that it was a pretty safe event. And, you know, it takes a whole lot of good people putting in good work to make good things happen. Thank you.
Are there any other public comments at this time?
Good evening, council members. I'm Steve Coyle. I own property over at 1612 Maple Street. As I was saying, Michigan City has everything a family and a business would want. We are a great product. We are a great brand, and all of us, you, me, and every person in this city are brand ambassadors for Michigan City every single day. So let me tell you what a bad product looks like, a toxic product. Data centers. The big tech companies behind these facilities have stopped trying to sell communities on the benefits. Instead, they're resorting to cash payments and other monetary incentives, essentially bribing cities to say yes. In our case, $5 million. No one, and let me be clear, no one pays you to accept something people actually want. We don't need to compromise our brand for a facility that consumes enormous amounts of water and electricity, generates noise and environmental concerns, and brings very few permanent local jobs. Developers want us to believe data centers are inevitable. They are not. We decide what's inevitable in our city. But you know what is inevitable? The current AI stock market and economic bubble will burst. It's not if, it's when. And when it does, the economic fallout will be severe. Council, the AI bubble burst is another reason to take a time out and enact a 2-year moratorium on data center expansion. Remember, Michigan City is a good product and a good brand. Please increase our brand's value. Do not expand the data center. Thank you.
Thank you. This will be the last call for public comment.
Excuse me, Daryl Borton. I know everybody complains about a lot of things, but there's two little words I don't hear during public comment. Thank you. Thank you to our police department who go out every day. They don't know if they're going to go home that night to their families or not. Thank you to you city council members who've sat back and listened to everything and do the best you can do with what you got to do with. Thank you to the city workers who go out every day in the 100-degree weather. And that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you. That was our last public comment. Public comments are now closed. And now comments from the council. Councilman Dabney.
Yes, a few meetings ago, when shootings were happening, and I mean, as I calmed down, there hasn't been very many comments out there about that since there haven't been shootings over the past. However, anyway, I'll get off of that and say I actually put out there that if someone wanted to mentor kids, because I'm a firm believer that it takes a village to raise a child. People have heard me tell the story about my nephew and how I stayed here in Michigan City to help raise him. And I put out there a challenge to people if they wanted to sign up to be mentors for some of the kids out here at the high school. I think they could use some good role models and some of the people that come here and talk about the shootings and that. I think you'd be great to be able to mentor some kids and hopefully, hopefully be able to stir them in the right direction. I think they'd be happy to see some of you guys. And I said I would contact Dr. McCullum, Wendell McCullum, the superintendent of Michigan City area schools, and see if we can have people sign up to be volunteers. And he sent me an email back saying, if anybody wants that email, come to see me. I'll send it to you. And there is a link that you can go put your name in there and you can go ahead and be a volunteer to go ahead and mentor some of these kids. I think it's a step in the right direction. As I said, it takes a village to raise a child. So I think that would be great. I have the email right here in my computer. If you want to get it, come on up and I'll shoot it off to you so you can sign up to be a mentor. And maybe you can help us, direct some of these kids in the proper directions.
Councilwoman Moldenauer.
Thank you, Madam President. I wanted to mention a couple of things that, one thing that I did specifically, I did submit written testimony to the EPA that the regulations regarding the cleanup of coal ash at coal burning power plants should not be rolled back. This would specifically affect Michigan City since the NIPSCO site has man-made land which extends into Lake Michigan. This man-made land includes a mix of sand, soil, and coal ash. I want to be sure that when that plant closes down, that the land there is cleaned up appropriately. So I represented you, our citizens, by submitting this comment to the EPA. Also, a lot of people don't know because I get questions or comments about this. The coal ash ponds that were in existence at NIPSCO have been closed and cleaned up. So yes, those were online ponds and they did bring in professional company to do that. And from what I could see and what I heard, they did do that responsibly. This is very exciting. There's going to be a homeowner investor symposium in Michigan City. And I've been told by many people, if you're paying anywhere from $1,200 to $1,500 a month for rent, that it's probably worth your time to look into home ownership. And they said right on here, stop renting and start building wealth. This symposium is going to take place on Thursday, August 20th, 4:30 at the Blue Chip Casino. It's being sponsored by the United Way and 8 other business organizations, including banks and loaning organizations in our community. This is free. But be sure to get registered because they are including free materials in this. And you can contact the United Way of LaPorte County, or I have a flyer up here with a QR code if you would like to get that. A lot of people have commented to me, I didn't think I'd be able to ever own a home, but by going to workshops and engaging in the process, I now live in my own home. So I really want to encourage any residents of Michigan City who have any interest whatsoever to look into this free opportunity that's being made available. I know that Mayor Angie talked a little bit about the handicaps that the departments were working under when she first took office. But I again want to really emphasize when she took office, the departments were working with paper and pencil to process all permits and all requests for assistance. Every single department was working under paper and pencil. So if you can imagine how hard it is to do a job and how easy it is for things to get lost when that was the state of our city at that moment in time. Since then, they had to take a year to really evaluate what was happening, what needed to be done, the best way to go about solving this problem. The next year, they really took a look at what software to evaluate that would really work well for each of these departments because they all have separate and different unique needs. So this year, I believe I can confidently say that all the departments have implemented some sort of software. But I'm asking for everybody's patience and support that when you do adopt new software, it does take a while to work out all of those kinks that are in it. So I firmly believe, and I know that our city workers are working as hard as they can and as fast as they can, and they're trying to keep up with this enormous growth that's happening within our city. And I just want to give a shout out to each one of them that they're working miracles for us right now, considering how much the city has grown just in these last 2.5 years. So paper and pencil, remember that. Every single document was paper and pencil. Thank you.
Councilwoman Lee.
Thank you, Madam President. 2 meetings ago, I announced a save the date for Saturday, July 18th for a Unity and Safety 5K run or walk. But due to a family emergency, I have not been able to get this through for July 18th. So this will be postponed until September. So keep your eyes out for a new date in September. And then I would like to thank everybody who came out to Michigan City Pride Fest on Saturday, June 13th, as an ally and the co-chair of the Michigan City Pride Fest Planning Committee. It was a wonderful day. We had over 5,200 people there. We had 121 vendors and community booths. It was a beautiful day. The weather held out, good vibes all day. Everybody who came in was happy and friendly and joyful. So thank you to everybody who came and supported.
Councilman Coulter.
Thank you, Madam President. I wanted to parrot some remarks earlier about just how fantastic our special events department is, as well as police and fire and the parks department for putting on some really awesome events and facilitating others. The Sandcastle Festival is coming up really quick. It starts July 17th and the 18th and the 19th with awards on that Sunday. If you haven't been there, it's kind of the coolest thing because it's got like great British Bake Off vibes where everybody just kind of loves each other. All of the competitors just like they hang out. It's the same people that go to all the different festivals. So it's really cool just seeing them like interacting with each other. Again, that's July 17th, 18th, and 19th over at the North Point Pavilion. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I guess that ends with me. I just want to read what was received in regards to 2 complaints that was filed to the state, to the Office of the Public Access Counsel, former complaint committee. And the complaints were in regards to Council President Tillman opens public comments and announces the 3-minute limit. City Controller Tamiko Smith began speaking. Tamiko Smith finished speaking 5 minutes, 25 seconds total. The second complaint was, under the open door law, content neutral time limits must be applied even-handedly. This is shown in Access, LaPorte County's recordings of the June 2nd, 2026 meeting with the following timestamps. As I have conveyed repeatedly, I do my best to make sure that when I speak and what information I provide is in compliance. So, but when complaints are put out there on any of us and all of the information is not provided, I'm going to read to you what the Office of the Indiana Public Access Counselor stated. We did receive these complaints, and our office rejected both complaints. Both were rejected because there was no ODL, open door law violations. Under Indiana's ODL, the public does not have a statutory right to speak at public meetings. The law only guarantees citizens the right to attend, observe, and record the proceedings. Public comment periods are typically granted at the board's discretion and mandated only during specific public hearings, which do not appear to be the case in these matters. Also, we explained a government official or someone advising the governing body is sometimes allowed to more time to speak than a member of the public. This has been received and filed with the court, with the clerk's office from the Office of the Indiana Public Access Counselor. And again, state the facts, state all of it when you want to present it. And with everything that has transpired, with the wonderful events that has gone on in Michigan City, I also want to thank the Michigan City Fire Department, the Street Department, Vector, because we have had some hectic weather here in Michigan City, and their turnarounds and timeframes of helping with the trees, the debris, and picking up all of that. I commend to you, each of you, to all of you, for all of your departments. We're not out of the storms yet. So again, thank you all to all the city employees and administrator, and to my colleagues, council members. And with that being said, may I entertain a motion to adjourn?